Hey everybody, welcome back to Couch for It. This is episode 7, and as you can see, I don't have Valanda with me today on this giant couch because she is on vacation.
If you want, I can have a British accent the whole episode if you want to feel at home.
I kind of want to see you do that.
All right, so what you want me to talk about?
There you go, it's perfect. Please say it like that. You're just like Valanda now.
Perfect.
So we're going to review episode 7, but we'll get into that in a second. First, let's do introductions. I am Drew Tillman, as you know. I am in front of a camera. That's how that works. And I'm joined today by...
Bucky. I'm Bucky. I'm also in front of a camera, and I have a microphone in front of me, and that's what's up.
I don't have a microphone. I'm actually just recording on a rock. It's very impressive. So, yes, we're going to talk about episode 7 of Lost in Space, and we're going to get Bucky's opinion on it. And he's only seen 2 episodes.
So, yeah, I watched episode 6 because I was supposed to be on the last episode because y'all were sick. And then it was supposed to be me and Valanda going over episode 6, but then she also got super sick. So then I wasn't on it, and then you guys postponed it a week. So I watched episode 6 for no reason. But I'm kind of glad I did because it gave me some context for the shit I saw in episode 7. And I'm kind of like piecing together what the fuck is actually going on.
It's a great show. Valanda and I have definitely not called it a trash fire for the last 4 episodes. No, we've been loving it. So the way we do this, since you haven't been here, is first we do our initial impressions, and I'll start with mine this week only because your initial impression is on 2 episodes.
True.
My initial impression is, we get it, guys. You went to writing school and you took apparently 1 class. Please stop it. Please stop. Undead, no, don't tell him that. Shh. Don't tell my secrets. But Bucky, what are your initial impressions?
My initial impressions is the show needs some work, but overall, I think that it's okay. I definitely, no matter how much I had to suspend my disbelief, at the end of it, I still kind of found myself smiling for some reason, because I want them to succeed, but there are so many problems with what just happened.
There are a lot of little problems with what just happened. One moment, I need to find my notes so we can really dig into this. Yeah. Mostly me make fun of it. Found my notes. All right, let's see. So in this case, I got 2.5 pages of notes, roughly.
Okay.
Most of them are just nonsense stream of thoughts. So the first thing is we actually got our opening credits again this time, which we have not seen. All right, the first 4 episodes, we see the opening credits once.
Oh, wow.
And none of them deserved it, because none of them opened enough. Well, maybe the first one and maybe the second one deserved the immediate, cut into action kind of thing, media res thing. But then they put the opening credits on the 3rd episode, and then on the 4th episode, it was just, a title card, and then it was nothing, and now it's just, they have credits. What are you guys doing?
Why wouldn't you just put the credits on every single episode?
Right. And like I said, I could understand doing just the first 2 episodes because of the way they start. It's oh, you don't know what's happening. Let's cut right into and then kind of explain. But then after that, why are you not sticking with the adding...
So is it supposed to be a creative choice that they're going with? They just want to cut directly into it so you're get that jarring experience of bam, action.
That's what I think, but honestly it kind of just feels like they forgot them for a couple of episodes and then just tried to put them in there and pretend like it never happened.
A little inconsistent Lost in Space crew.
A little bit. Just a little bit. Okay. So let me move this so I can see some things. Oh, wait, I totally misread Undead Bad Thing. You were agreeing with me. Crap. I've revealed myself. I gotta panic and hide now. So the first thing I want to talk about is we talked about people wearing red last episode.
Okay.
And I was watching a little close, I was actually, trying to figure out who was wearing red. And from what I can tell, it seems to be only people who would be, quote-unquote, adversarial to the Robinsons.
Okay.
Because you have... Dr. Smith wears red, Victor wears red, his son wears red.
True. And
Angela wore red last episode.
To be clear, his son, Victor's son, is the one who's trying to go out with the Robinsons' daughter, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's his son. It seems to be just them wearing red, and they seem to be the crux of the people who push back against the Robinsons the most.
Right. Which we can't really call her Dr. Smith anymore, which is a spoiler that I found out last episode.
Oh, you didn't know it wasn't? Oh, that's right. You haven't seen anything.
I haven't seen any. So this is my first Lost in Space experience.
That's right. You now know that the Dr. Smith in this version of Lost in Space is not the real Dr. Smith.
Cool.
So we start with Jody. Who is it? Who the fuck is in that scene? It's the mom, the dad, Smith, and that's it. They're looking at the gun. Like you remember this?
Yeah.
Which I want to know what they were doing with the gun.
Yeah, they're just kind of staring at it.
They put it under a microscope, and then later, like after they like zoom in on it,
a gun.
Yeah, like it's like this is a gun, definitely.
Well, this is definitely a gun, 100%.
And they zoom in, and they're like, "Oh, wait a second, that's our watermark. This was 3D printed on our Jupiter." But what were you doing with it initially? Like, they thought, because they literally say, like, oh, this gun it wasn't smuggled in from Earth. It was made here in a 3D printer.
So I actually had a question about that, because last episode I was like, why the fuck is there a gun in the middle of the fucking forest? I'm assuming someone planted that there, right?
Yeah, so quick thing is the robot at some point overrode the 3D printer to print a gun, and apparently the 3D printer can also print ballistics material and casings and everything, which is I don't understand.
Awesome, but okay.
The robot gives it to Will. Will hides it under his bed. Dr. Smith steals it because she steals things.
Yep.
And then she hides it in the woods after threatening the robot with it, which seems pointless just all in all.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, then Angela finds it really just through happenstance, which I don't... there's a lot of because plot type moments in this series, which we've kind of talked about a lot. Yep, sci-fi BS, Undead. That's pretty much exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But I really want to know what they were doing with that gun, because if they thought it was smuggled from Earth, why are they putting it under a microscope? What are you hoping to achieve? Like, yes, this is definitely an Earth gun.
Is their watermark just microscopic?
It's microscopic. Like, it's literally like they have to zoom in super, super close before they can see that it's 3D printed, and it has their watermark on it.
That just seems like counterproductive. Why would you make it that small?
I have no idea.
Why don't you just fucking plaster it on the side of the gun so everyone knows who made it?
The pistol grip just says printed on the Robinson's Jupiter.
Yeah, there you go. Done. Security, people. Get with it.
Exactly. So Will then comes clean once they find out that the gun was printed on their ship. Will's like, yeah, the robot did it because sci-fi dumb nonsense. Mm-hmm. And they go and examine Will's bed because they're like, where did you hide it? And he's like, oh, it's under my bed. And then they have this weird conversation where Dr. Smith tries to pin everything on Victor. But it doesn't make sense because Victor in the last episode was pretty much front and center. Or not last episode, when they were building the light tower, which was episode 5.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Pretty much front and center. Like, he was out there like, do this, do that. Like, he was like commanding people and moving them around. He definitely was not just hanging out inside the Jupiter being like, I'm going to steal a gun.
Yeah.
That he didn't know was there, so it's not a good lie. She tells a lot of lies in this that just a cursory thought would be like, well, that doesn't make any sense.
She's just super cold. Obviously it was my first introduction to the character and all when I saw her, and I was just like, oh, she seems like a nice lady. And then I had no idea that she was fucking not who she's saying she was.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, wait a minute. What is this fucking instant flip that I'm now discovering at the end of an episode of a series that I'm in the middle of? Like,
this is why you can't watch just the middle episodes of a series, Bucky.
But for watching just one episode, I figured out a lot. I will give it that much. Like, for someone who is just like, I'm just going to watch a random episode, like, I got a lot of context clues that for someone who's been watching the entire thing would be like, all right, we know. Can we move past this? Like, someone who like just watched it, I'm like, oh, okay, I can kind of get the whole story up to here from this one episode.
Yeah. They do that very well. They make what I've always heard referred to as dishwasher TV, where you don't really have to pay attention. You can kind of just like look up and figure out what's going on really quickly.
Yeah.
So they do that, and then it cuts to Judy and Dawn in the chariots, because last episode, remember they went to go get fuel, and they're on their way back now.
Yeah.
And they're just talking about the whole Dr. Smith thing while the one girl sits in the back, and I don't know anyone's name in this fucking show except for the Robinsons, Victor, VJ, and there's the Watanabes. I don't know any of their first names.
Speaking of this scene, can I just say, when she fucking called the Jupiter, like the Robinson's Jupiter, to
we're
like try
talking
to talk to her mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was this specific scene. She called to be like, they were like, "Oh my god, I can't believe we found out that Dr. Smith is not Dr. Smith. This is crazy. Let me call my mom's Jupiter." And then Dr. Smith calls up, and she's immediately like, "Let me just act sketchy as fuck."
She's so natural, right? Like,
Just, can I talk to my mom? Because I don't want to talk to you. Like, just fucking play it off.
I know.
Like, can I just like talk to my mom? I want to talk to her really quick.
You could have just been like, "Oh, we wanted to give you an update that we're on our way back and we're here,"
and not just. Can I speak to my mom?
It was so awkward. And to answer this chat question, we are talking specifically about episode 7 tonight. There is a. We kind of cover the whole show at the end, like a little bit, like how we feel about it. But tonight is pretty much just episode 7. But yeah, she's so awkward in that moment. She's just like, yeah, mom.
Yeah,
and it's so weird.
Can I talk to my mom, please?
Like, it's so bad that Dawn eventually takes the CB radio away from her. It's like,
fucking
no,
hangs it up. It's like, stop.
You're so fucking awkward. Like, what is wrong with you? Oh, I'm gonna move this over here.
I was just like, can you like? I get that you got caught off guard because you didn't expect her to be the one to pick up like the call, but at the same time, it's like, just play it off. It's not that hard. Just like, I didn't expect you to be in. What are you doing there?
Yeah, it's so bad, and it's one of those like plot things of, oh, well, who's gonna answer the thing? Oh, it's definitely Dr. Smith, because we need that moment of Dr. Smith being like, getting the, oh, I know who you are. That like, that was a terrible line.
Something wrong. You immediately hit like, you guys found it out, and then within seconds of confronting her, you immediately let her know that something's up.
Oh yeah, it's just like, why would you do that? Also, another note, I've said it before, but the communications in this show are so poorly handled, because there will go from scene to scene of everyone can communicate with everybody at all times to, oh no, they only have certain places they can communicate with.
Right.
Like, why didn't you just call your mom's line directly?
Yeah. Like, do they not have like a version of space cell phones on them or something?
Yeah, well they do, because they all have these wrist things that they can communicate with.
Use that.
But like, they don't use them half the time.
Just be like, hey mom, yo, word, what up? I got a problem. Dr. Smith's not real. Don't talk to her.
Also, why did they not have space texting?
Right, space texting.
Like, no, like, when you call the Jupiter, everyone in the Jupiter can hear. And it's like, why is it not just like, beep boop, mom, Dr. Smith is a creepy person.
Right, don't trust the doctor because they're not real. Text message is sent. Emoji symbols. Like,
some emojis. It's such a bad thing. Oh my god. But that's whatever, because after this scene, it jumps to... where does it jump to? Oh, this is where it actually jumps to, where they're examining the bedroom where the gun was. And I only want to point this out because this goes along with the whole communications thing. Because they're like, oh, we need to talk to Angela and find out where she got the gun so we can figure out where the gun came from. The problem with that is they drive to see Angela instead of picking up the fucking radio. Yeah. And just being like, Angela, got a question for you.
Yeah, can I just talk to you really quick? I got a quick question. Where the fuck was this?
Where was this gun?
Where did you get the gun?
I get the whole idea of like, well, they probably want to see her face to face so they can be like, are you lying? You lying? Look at me in the eyes, Angela.
Yeah.
But it wasn't necessary to drive to the other Jupiter when a phone call would work.
Yeah, you could have just picked up a phone and been like, hey, quick question.
But it's that thing of, well, we need them to be in danger, so we need them to go out and have a little drama moment.
Yeah.
So they do. They leave, and they start driving to the other Jupiter when they run into seismic activity. That's just an earthquake, everybody.
Space seismic activity.
Yeah, space seismic activity, because we're in space.
It's more dangerous. You have to know you're in space.
Exactly. The dad is driving. He backs up through the woods, and then off of a hill, and then at no point does he ever hit the brakes, which is my favorite part. He's backing up, drives down a hill, never hits the brakes to slow down.
Yeah,
he just keeps driving. Slams it. Yep. Ends up in a tar pit, stuck in the middle of a tar pit, because drama. Like that
whole sequence was just like, That's not how anything works
No.
at all.
Which it's annoying, and I will come back to the stuff that, yes, a space tar pit. It deals with
Space tar.
Yes, space brontosauruses, space woolly mammoths,
Space fossils.
space fossils. They're everywhere. But it jumps away there, and I kind of want to follow this like scene by scene rather than storyline. I will let you describe the next scene if you want to, other than me just like talking at
I
you.
don't remember what happened in the next scene. What was the next scene?
Well, the next
you might
scene,
as well just go through it because I watched it and I'll pick up on clues.
Okay. So the next scene. Now, all of these scenes I'm going through pretty quick because they're just setup stuff. But the next scene is the fuel crew stops Kit, yes, in space with all the tildes and A's. It's the correct way to say space. There we go. Yes. The fuel crew is stopped and like, oh, well, we can't get back to the Jupiter through this way.
Right.
Guess we'll have to go through the geyser field.
Right.
Which
they were sitting there and just like half of the time it's like, it's incredibly predictable, so we can make it through if we slam it.
I love that, but also I love the fact that whoever put these geysers in with VFX did it in a very symmetrical way.
They did!
It's basically a perfect square, and the geysers appear in a fucking grid.
Like, you could probably, like, looking at the way they came out, it was literally a straight line. You can just drive through them.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing would happen
No danger. But I also love the fact that the geysers leave no damage behind them. There's no holes or craters in the ground at all. It's just, they geyser up and throw rocks, and they disappear, and the ground is perfectly level again.
Also, they had to drive next to each other. Why couldn't you just drive one in front and run it back and just drive in a line?
No, can't do that. They had to punch it. So they go down there, and they have to go 1.78 miles in, and they can only go 35 miles an hour because they have 6,000 tons of fuel or some dumb shit. So they go down, and they wait for it, and they start going across this field of geysers. And they're freaking out at each other, just like, oh, we're going to make it. No, we're not. Yes, we are. Blah.
Oh, it was at the same time that, what's her name, was trying to... Oh, no, never mind. Keep going.
See, maybe it is the water is toxic, as the chat says, and maybe acid would burn through them. That's entirely possible. They don't say they don't say anything about it. They're just like...
That's true.
Geysers.
I mean, it didn't seem like it in the episode, but, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, they brush past a lot of things in these episodes. Not that it makes them totally unenjoyable, because... I will say, I enjoyed this episode. It's better than 4 and 5 entirely. 6 was probably...
I got to watch the good ones.
Yeah, 6 was probably the best out of the last, 4, but this one's pretty good. So they're going off, and the Jupiter that's pulling... Or not the Jupiter, the chariot that's pulling the tanker, its brakes start to seize up. Because it's got a brake line going to the trailer. Makes sense.
Right.
It falls out.
Yep.
And then one of the characters, who up until this point I had no idea what his name was, climbs up on the roof, climbs back across the chariot and down to hook the cable back up while they are driving.
Which his excuse for this was they were calling over to him like, please be careful. And he was like, nah, it's cool, man. I'm a surfer. This has nothing to do with surfing.
Not even a little bit.
Nothing to do with surfing. Yeah, you got good balance, but you're not going to have good balance moving 35 miles an hour on rocky terrain.
Nope. He's just a surfer, though. It's fine. Don't even worry about it, man. Jesus Christ. Which also, this is another example of the communicators just doing whatever the fuck the plot needs them to. Because when he climbs out, Judy,
how does he hear it?
Because he's got the little wrist thing.
Oh, it's the little wrist thing.
Yeah.
So the communicator goes to the...
But Judy didn't change anything. She literally just goes, Evan, be careful. Previously, literally seconds ago, she was talking to the other Jupiter. He climbs out, and then she's like, Evan, be careful. And he's like, don't worry, I'm a surfer.
How did he hear that?
Exactly.
How did he hear that? He was outside it.
Is he tuned into the same channel as the other Jupiter? Because I can believe that. But and again, this is another thing. Sometimes they have to push a button on their little communicator to talk through it. Other times they just talk and it happens. These things are apparently brainwave activated because they just... Yeah, it just does what they need it to do.
They're all
when they need it
connected
to
to
do.
some fucking hive where they're all connected together and just be like, you know who I need to talk to. So when I pick up this
Connect the line.
thing, it'll automatically go to the person I need to talk to. I don't have to press any buttons. I just pick it up and I go,
pressing buttons.
Ah, how you doing? And then I know, hey, I'm talking to Drew. So it's like,
it's a magical thing. Maybe they are sentient. Who knows what the fuck's going on? Because they certainly don't explain that. This show will get into science just like occasionally, just brush through it, and they'll only get into high concepts. Like in episode 6, they were like, black hole, Hawking radiation, it'll eat the sun. This episode, and then the rest of the time, they're just like, radios just do what you want them to do when you want them to do a thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just how they work, guys. Like, don't even worry about it.
You know who you want to talk to. You just pick it up and talk, and you just go automatically to the person you need to talk to.
You don't have to do anything. You don't have to tune it in or anything.
Yep.
But because of the plot, he hooks the cable back up. You think they're going to make it? Nope, they don't make it because a geyser immediately erupts underneath the chariot.
Yep.
Blowing the tanker and the chariot apart, and then everyone stops because, oh my god, what happened to Evan? He's under the tanker because it rolled on him.
Rolled and lands on him. And then they're like, we got to pick it up. We got to get it up. And then as soon as they go to pick it up, they're like, no, wait, it's pressurized. And this hit a rock. If we pick it up, we'll lose all the fuel.
We'll lose all the fuel.
And then it's this really dramatic moment of being like, we got to help him. We got to help him. And then being like, but the fuel though. And then all of a sudden, what's his name? Don, I think his name is.
Don and Judy are like, we have to save him. We have to save him.
Yeah. And then he's just like, I'm going to do it. And then they're like, we won't give you any money if you lift that thing. And he's like, fuck off, bitch. And then does it anyway.
He just does it. And I want to say, this is a moment where you see Victor actually lead, because he's like, go get a thing to collect this fuel. You do this, you do that, like telling people what, like, to spread out and like do different things. And he actually effectively leads this group until Judy's just like, we have to save this guy. We have to save this guy. And he's like, no, we'll lose all the fuel and we need it.
My thing is, like, couldn't y'all just fucking get literally anything? You just let the fuel just pour out of it and stood there and watched it. You couldn't literally do anything. You don't have a fucking blanket. You don't have a blanket.
They were so sad. No, they were too sad, Bucky. They were just too sad.
Wasted.
Wasted it. It was kind of a thing where it's just, come on, please. But they save Evan. They pull him out from under it, lose the fuel, and then it cuts away to Penny in the Jupiter, where she gets a radio call from Victor's son, because they're going to go sneak out in the woods and make out.
Young teen love angst.
Exactly. And as we know, VJ is a great poet, because he wrote that great emo poetry from the last episode.
It was real bad.
Oh, you didn't like that one?
No.
Oh, well. No. But she goes to sneak out, and then she goes to tell Will, she's like, oh, I'm going to go leave. And she knocks on the door, and he won't answer it, which I was saying in, like, episode 2, their quarters should have doors, and they've never shut their doors the whole thing until this episode. Like, why do you not have doors that you've closed the door? Close the door.
Like, don't the Robinson parents want some privacy every once in a while?
Don't the Robinson children want some privacy every once in a while? I think only one of them's technically 18.
As someone who lived in an apartment that didn't have a door for a long time, having a door is great when you can just fucking close it and be like, hey, I don't want to deal with you dipshits, and then close the door.
You do whatever you want. I shut the door. Boop, click. It's great.
Beautiful.
But Will responds in this way of, yeah, do whatever you want. I don't care. And Penny is clearly worried about him.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just cuts away again. No build up on that one.
Yep.
Love it. Oh no, you don't have a... That makes me sad.
Oh, door. I feel your pain, man. It's the worst.
I'd feel awful without a door. I need my door. Like, my door's shut 24/7, basically. Mostly because I grew up with cats, and they will chew on everything, and it's awful.
True.
So, after Penny is worried about Will, it jumps to Smith going to the cairn, where Will and his dad put 27 rocks up in a big pile.
Yes.
I'm hiding myself, Kit, okay? I have to hide constantly like a Sasquatch.
He's got a ton of weird shit in there, so he's hiding it from the rest of us.
Let me tell you,
don't get
I do have a ton of weird shit in here.
It's to help protect my virgin eyes from seeing all the shit.
Well, now you're just lying about yourself there, Bucky. There's a lot of weird stuff in my room, though.
I am pure.
Liar.
That's true. I'm a liar. Anyway, but yes. Okay. So
she goes to the cairn, which bothers me because she has no reason to know where it is. She has no reason to know how to get there because it was literally just the dad took the kid there to basically teach him a lesson. Like,
so I've had this question since last episode that I watched.
Kit, yes.
Why is the robot's face a void?
No one knows.
It's got a void face.
Yeah, the robot has, we've been calling him Spencer.
Spence.
Because he looks like one of those plasma discs at Spencer's.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Because that's what he looks like. His face is just that.
Yeah.
He's always spacing out. That's also true. Because he's basically just space face.
So then I'm going to also assume that at some point this thing, did they find it? Did Will Robinson find it broken?
Yeah, in the first episode, he finds it in two pieces. Okay. And he thinks initially it's two robots because the legs are chasing him, and he climbs up into a tree where he finds the other part. And then when he cuts it down, it puts itself back together and saves him.
Okay. So then she finds it broken and tries to fuse it back together, but I guess it was something that was happening on that planet where he found him, or something Will did that managed to fuse it back together.
I think I know what happens, because at the end, I think I figured it out, but that's at the end. Okay. And I will come back to that. But yeah, Smith had no reason to know where this was at all.
Sure.
Because it's not like they set up a memorial site. Will's dad just took him out there to be like, hey, you have to move 27 big-ass rocks because you need to understand that you are shouldering the burden for everything the robot does.
Right.
Like, the robot is your responsibility, so everything the robot does, that's on you.
Right.
It wasn't about actually building a memorial site, because no one else should know where this place is.
Right.
So how the fuck did she find it?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, and that whole scene didn't make any sense to me, because it's like, well, now the audience, it felt like, honestly, at that point, it was like, well, the audience knows now that she's not Dr. Smith, so now we have to offer up some explanation of who she is, so we're going to make her do it in the sense of she's talking to this dead robot. Why?
Yeah, that was a lot of that was weird. I think that you can track each... Also, yeah, the robot does start out looking really cool. It starts out with 4 arms and these weird, backwards kneed legs. It's fucking crazy looking. It shoots lasers out of its hands. And then it just turns into Jeeves, the boring robot.
Oh. But he's so cute.
I mean, he's cute-ish, but, it's definitely a guy in a suit. So they go from having a cool, kick-ass robot to a guy in a suit. And I think they can track each other. They've never, if they can, they only do it when they want to, because, again, the whole mom and dad being stuck in the tar, no one knows where they're at.
Right, yeah,
they
she was able to track them when they were doing some dumb little thing, but, 2 people are actually in jeopardy, and she's like...
The sci-fi stuff comes and goes basically as they need the plot.
Yeah, they need to work on that plot a bit, because there's some problems with with the universe.
A little bit. But I also don't remember if they can track them. That actually, I don't remember if we ever see them doing that. I'd have to rewatch to find that out. And it cuts back to Will and Penny, because Will finally opens his door, and Penny makes this stupid fucking headless joke, because she goes and gets one of her spacesuit, her spacesuit.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
I seem to have lost my head. Can you help me?
Yes.
And Will was just not having that shit.
No, Will was just so sad. Which I love that she points it out, because she's like, headless joke deserves at least an eye roll. Come on, Will. Why did you not at least, make fun of me for it?
Yeah.
But she's like, oh, I thought you maybe wanted to learn how to fly. And they go into the garage where he rides the, I don't know, it's like a mechanical arm, basically, for, construction purposes.
Yeah.
Around in a circle, which I love this scene. Because, one, Will says, this is so dangerous. He's moving about as fast as I could walk. Mm-hmm. He's moving in a very wide, slow circle.
Yep.
He's about 2 feet off the ground.
Yep.
I don't see the dangerous part here.
No.
But then she stops it, he gets off, and he's so dizzy, guys. He's not going fast enough to get dizzy. He's not going in a small enough circle to get dizzy.
Maybe the gravity's different on this planet.
I guess maybe. And also, yes, again, agreeing with the chat here. The robot moves like RoboCop in most scenes, but then in action scenes, it's just like it does whatever it wants.
I need to see. I need to see a robot action scene. I haven't seen it. I've only seen him in like Robot Jeeves mode.
You didn't. There was one at the end of 6 where Angelo shot him with a gun.
But he didn't really do anything. He just kind of like stood there and then like took a couple steps forward, and then it cut away.
Okay, Undead Man, he may have had an inner ear infection. That's always possible.
But no, I didn't think of that.
Okay, so at the end of 6, he didn't really do much, but at the end of 5, he transformed and ripped the face off of a frog monster. So he can move when he wants to, I guess, but most of the time he just kind of wanders around like a dude.
Episode 5 was bad? I want to see that shit.
Episode 5 was bad because a lot of it was nothing happens, nothing happens, nothing happens. Here's a frog monster.
You can't just do that.
It was...
Throw a frog monster in the middle of a fucking episode and be like, deal with this shit now, assholes!
But then Will throws up his hands in this scene, and he gets sad because he remembers that Spencer threw up his hands in one episode. Like, mimicked his like, yeah!
Yeah.
And he gets sad, and he goes back to his room because...
Right. Yeah.
So sad. And you're right, Undead Man. They did not eat the frog monster. I am still on the side of not eating an unknown animal's meat.
That's fair.
We don't know what it's made of. It could be made of poison.
I mean, they're smart people. They could have tested it.
They could have, but I guess they decided the better thing would be just burning it.
I guess.
Fine. I mean, do whatever you guys want. So then it cuts back to Smith talking to the dead robot, or the broken robot.
Right.
Where she, like, has an exposition scene. There, I could not say that word.
I thought you were having a stroke for a second.
I thought I was too. The word just vanished in my head. Oh my god, we got a thing. I don't remember what noise that was. But it's a follower. We got a follower.
Hey, thanks.
But we have an exposition scene of her talking about how she pretends to be something she's not, so she talks out loud to make herself remember. But she basically says a lot of the stuff that you get from the flashback scene of her in an earlier episode where you see her with her sister and she steals her identity.
Okay.
But she does say a few other things, but she's clearly lying to herself because what she says is that she's going to be a productive member of society. She's going to start over. She's going to, just like fix herself, and she's not going to be a bad person.
And then she turns into a bad person.
I mean, she's always a bad person. She's one of these people who, like, she's definitely a sociopath. Like, she doesn't care about anybody else.
Yeah.
But she says, I'm not a violent or bad person, and I'm not going to do any of the bad things. You're going to do the bad things. Because her plan here is very clearly to get Spencer back up and running so he can basically kill everybody who disagrees with her or something. Because she thinks, apparently, since an 11-year-old boy could control the robot, she can control the robot.
I don't think that's how that works.
I don't think so either. But you know what? I'm not going to argue with it. It's whatever. And then it cuts back, because this episode has a lot of cutting, not at weird moments, but
bounces around a lot.
It does. And the pacing wasn't bad, but it was just kind of all over the place. Like, you could have removed one of these storylines and had a much more solid episode.
Or just, like, followed a storyline to its completion and then cut to the other one. Or, like, because it kept, like, going bip, 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 and giving you, like, tiny little info bits here and there. Yes. Instead, it could have just, like, explained the entire thing for a scene, like a chunk of it, then cut to something different, and you get a much better way to tell the story rather than just be like, here's those little tiny bits that we're gonna like tease at you.
Yeah, but they could have cut out the entire Smith Spencer bit because we didn't need it.
No, you didn't.
And they could have cut out the mom and dad storyline too. Like, it was another point. Like, the whole point of that storyline was, oh, but look at them, they're still in love. Like, okay, well, I already figured from episode 1 that they were going to get back together.
Which, I had so many problems with that scene, but yeah, we'll get to that.
We're actually about to jump back to that, because it cuts where after Smith talks to the dead robot.
Right.
Cuts back to the mom and dad who are stuck in a tar pit, where they're putting together a grappling hook for something. I don't understand their plan here.
So, Essentially, they had the grappling hook, and they were attempting, I'm assuming, to attach the grappling hook to the tree, and then attach that to the car, so that they would
climb
be
over,
able
right?
to pull it, either climb it or pull it out somehow.
Okay, because like I could see them climbing across, but that's assuming that tree holds.
Right.
But we don't know. We
Yeah.
don't know how that's going to work. But of course, as soon as the dad gets the grappling hook around the tree, which it does the most unrealistic grappling hook thing ever, where it goes around the thing and then make sure that it flips over itself to tie off
Yeah.
real well.
Yep. Never fucking happens.
No. Is anyone who's throwing a grappling hook, it's just like, blur.
That's not that. It just does what it wants to do.
Yeah, you just kind of have to hope it catches something.
Yeah.
But
then, the car starts to sink.
It sinks all the way.
It sinks, and she's like, there's not enough time. You can't do the thing. And then he has to hop in and seal shut the door before it completely gets submerged under. And then they sink to the bottom of this pit.
Yep, they're just on the bottom, and they're trapped in this airtight car, which, I mean, things could be worse. They could die. You know, and also tar is...
Real quick.
Yeah, tar is also several hundred degrees usually when it's in pit form. So you could die from that too. So, ooh, yay. But yeah, and then it cuts again. Like, this episode cuts at so many... Like, you see everybody for about 2 minutes, and it's like, let's go to another person. You could have cut out so many scenes. You could have cut out a storyline. You could have just made this a more solid episode through a few editing tweaks.
Yeah.
Because it cuts here and it cuts to Judy and Dawn and Evan in one of the chariots, and Judy's just kind of like, you see her be a good doctor where she has a lot of good bedside manner and just be like,
right.
And she's like, because Evan's like, am I gonna walk again? Am I gonna die? And she's like, no, you'll fine. You know, you can teach me how to surf later.
I'll get a better readout when we get back to the place. She's
Yeah.
like, keep him calm and all these things.
Yeah, and then it just cuts away again. Like, it doesn't show anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, cool, I think. Like, I get the point of the scene, but you could have just kept this scene with a later scene and made that scene a little bit longer.
Right.
And you could have gotten the whole thing.
Right.
Because it cuts away back to Penny and Will building a model of Spencer out of a bunch of other models and a bunch of silverware.
Right.
So thanks for wasting valuable eatery, Will.
Because, you're not, like, trapped on a fucking planet that you don't know what it is, and you know for a fact it's going to get sucked into a fucking black hole soon.
And then it cuts, like, it's literally like, it comes in, Penny sees what he's doing, she says, yeah, I'll help, and then it cuts away again. It's maybe a 2-minute scene. And it cuts away to the parents having a bonding moment in the chariot, while the mom is trying to make...
Very minimal clothes, because it's fucking hot.
It's getting hot, so they're like, keep removing clothing. The mom is trying to turn the chariot and the rope into a giant antenna.
Yes.
And the dad apologizes for what he did, which you wouldn't know this, but a couple episodes ago we found out that the dad re-enlisted in the army, or he re-enlisted for an active tour duty. He wasn't pulled back by the military. He went and said, "Yes, I'm going
to do it." Okay.
And that's kind of been a whole thing between them this entire time, and he apologizes for it because he's like, it wasn't the right thing. I thought it was, but it wasn't. Like, I made a mistake here.
Yeah. So, actually, I had a question. What is the deal with Earth? Is it, like, becoming uninhabitable or something? That's why they left?
Yes. So, we still don't know exactly what happened with it, other than there was an asteroid headed towards it. We presume it impacted, and the air has slowly becoming unbreathable. The Earth is going to die. That's why they have this colonization mission.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So, and then after he apologizes for that, the mom admits that she cheated to get Will onto the Resolute to begin with.
Right.
And she's like, if it wasn't for me, we'd be fine. We'd all be back on Earth. I mean, granted, Earth would suck, but we'd be there. Yeah. Also, yes, they clearly want you to feel that Will is sad, because every cutscene to Will is just, look how sad Will is.
Look at how sad he is that he doesn't have his robot friend anymore.
Oh no! All right, anyway, let's go over here now. But then again, it has this sad moment between the mom and the dad, and it just cuts away, just like boop, we're gone.
Yeah.
And it cuts away to Judy and Dawn and Evan back in the chariot, or the chariot. And then we see the first actual on-screen death after the crash, which is Evan dies.
Yeah. Basically, they're talking and everything's okay, and then all of a sudden he just fucking dies.
He just dies.
And she tries really hard to get it done and like save his life, and then he ends up just not being able to do it. And then they radio over to the other car, and they're just like, he's dead. And they're basically, well, we lost all that fuel for nothing.
Yep. And then on top of that, again, this is one of the big scenes that made me feel like they took one writing class, because we just get a huge fucking info dump about Evan before he dies, so we feel bad for him. Like, oh yeah, one of my brothers is already on the thing.
He did that one thing and tried to help, and he did a good job, but then he died, and now we feel bad that he's dead. Oh.
Yeah, it's just, we get a whole info dump about his life, and then he dies. Like, why?
Like, why wasn't he brought up sooner?
I mean, you don't even
more substantial death.
You could have given him more stuff before. You could have. You didn't even need any of that, because he like tried to save the people. In fact, if he had managed to couple that thing back in and then still got injured, it would have been a way better death, because he was the hero. So like, you don't need to know anything about him other than the fact that he got injured to the point of dying to save other people. Like, oh, that already makes him a hero. You feel bad for him.
No, like, it wasn't necessary for him to die. Honestly, it didn't serve any purpose to a plot to have him die, other than the fact that it was just someone that Judy couldn't save.
No,
that's it.
And he dies.
Which she said that she only had like done medical work on 2 people previously. One being her mom. Who was the other one? Did they mention that?
Angela.
Oh, okay. So then she saved them both. So no, he basically served the plot purpose of being the one person she didn't save. And I'm sure that's now going to be a thing later, where she's just like, I wasn't good enough. And that's going to be a plot point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, again, yes, making a series is super easy. According to the chat, you just make people fall in love, and you got 10 minutes right out of the way. And you do. Because every series that has anyone fall in love, they fall in love in just a really rapid manner, usually. That doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
And then they don't go back to it at all. It's just like, well, now they're dating or whatever.
Yeah.
We're done. We don't need to do anything else.
We're good.
So we get our info dump about Evan, and he dies. Yep. And then it cuts back to the parents, who are still struggling to escape. And the dad finds a spacesuit in the chariot, and he's like, hey, you're going to put this on, and you're going to leave. And then the mom's like, no, I'm not.
Trying to do the noble thing of, like, sacrificing himself so that she can get out and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
And they kind of have a little, like, back and forth here of he like prods her about it, and she's like, no. And he's like, well, you have to go save the kids. I'm okay with dying here because, you know, I would have died for people I didn't even know. Like, I'm definitely willing to die for my family. And then eventually she agrees, and it cuts away again. Oh, no. It doesn't cut away again yet. It shows him suiting her up.
Yeah, it suits her up, and then I think he's about to push her out, right?
Yeah, like, he suits her up, and he like...
suits her up, and he's about to grab the handle,
and then she's like, stop.
She's like, no, stop! I immediately had this fucking genius idea that we can do now.
Look at
this plot point now that we're going to pursue.
Here's the reason I feel like that she thought of this after she got in the spacesuit. It's because she finally got some real oxygen in her lungs for the last, like, 2 hours.
That's true, yeah.
Because she goes, holy shit, we have a HAB unit, and it's got helium. We could just, like...
And this is pressurized, so it'll immediately just...
Yeah, we could just, like, put this thing together, pop it open. Cool, we get it. You have a motorcycle. Please fuck off.
Congratulations.
We put this thing, pop the thing, it'll just expand, and we can just crawl our way out. It's going to be super easy.
I'm mad about that happened, but okay.
I have notes about that. One, tar, again, liquid tar is very hot.
Yeah. That thing would not have one and, like, shot straight
It's hot, and it's also usually very thick.
So, it definitely would have, like, hit the tar and then just went...
Yeah. So this scene is we see them crawling out, and it's actually a pretty cool scene, though, because, like, they're crawling through the tube, and, like, it's barely wide enough for them to get through. They keep having to, like, push their way through.
Yeah.
Which is, like, really cool. They finally get out, and the mom says, I love you, back to the dad, because previously he'd said he loved her and he kissed her, and it was a very touching moment.
But the thing about it was that they used the helium tank, so all the space was filled with helium, and they were breathing helium. So when she said "I love you," it was in a super high pitched voice, and it was adorable.
And they had a nice,
like,
they had a nice laugh.
They had the high voices from the helium.
Yep. Also, I have a note that I'm glad to learn that everyone in this show apparently wears space Spanx underneath their clothing.
I mean, I would,
because they're
wearing, so I can say I got my space Spanx on.
Right, they're wearing. I would call them like long johns or something, but like they come down to about your knee, and they're like boxer briefs. I don't know, like I've definitely seen them before somewhere, but they just look like Spanx. They look like Spanx.
Space Banks TM.
Yep.
Trademark shit.
And they get out, you see their Space Banks, they're laying on the shore of this tar pit laughing about stuff. Oh, it's so funny, we almost died. Yep. And then we have squeaky voices.
Yes.
But it jumps back to Judy and Don and Victor and the other people who I don't know their names have stopped to talk for no reason. And I actually know what the point of the scene is. The point of the scene is to get Victor back to his Jupiter outside of the... They have to split the party, but they had to handle it so poorly and just have a scene where they're not doing anything rather than cut to a scene of Victor in his Jupiter and be like, oh yeah, they went to go do their own thing.
Yeah.
I came back. Judy decides she has to tell Evan's brother what happened, which is very noble. And Dawn's like, yeah, I'll drive you over there. Like, I'll go with you.
Yeah.
Victor goes back to his Jupiter, where he's like, oh, we almost did it. We almost had the fuel. We still have some, but we don't have much of it.
Yeah.
And then VJ spills or he's like, I have to tell you something. And it cuts away. Because it cuts away because Smith is...
Obviously cuts away to them telling him, like, hey, we're plummeting towards black hole.
Yeah. But it cuts away, it cuts back to Penny and Will building their model. To no effect, because it literally just pans out and goes down the hall to Smith sitting in the supply closet.
Right, because she's trying to figure out why the robot can't get fused together. She's like, what am I not doing right here?
Yep.
And it has an iPad.
Yeah, she has an iPad.
She has, I guess it was Will's iPad, where he recorded himself.
I guess. He had a little hand camera. I don't know where she got this iPad. Because it's definitely an iPad.
Yeah, it's basically it's a space iPad.
Yeah, and she's watching it, and Will's like recording, and she hears a sound, and she's like, "Oh, what's that sound?" And she starts like fucking with the audio, and then when she gets the sound isolated, Spencer's head, which is in a backpack, lights up.
Starts lighting up. I guess it's like some weird alien symbol or like alien talking.
Yeah,
it's
like that's kind of like bringing Spencer back around. So if she can get this sound near Spencer, he might wake up and just put himself back together. Yeah. And then you'll get Deathbot 3000 controlled by a lunatic. Whee!
Maybe.
Yep. Also, I want to point out that Spencer's head kind of makes the beginning part of the Skype startup noise. Because when it starts up, it goes...
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was like... That's just Skype. You just make the Skype startup noise and then cut off the end of it.
So Spencer is Skype.
Apparently, yes. No, oh my god, Spencer is Skype. AI. Oh no. It's become sentient. It's like the new fucking Skynet.
Oh, he probably sees in everything in lag, and that's so bad.
If you don't use Skype, they send their Skypeinator after you.
Skypeinator?
Skypeinator. He's coming. But that's the end of that scene, because again, we jump back again. There's just so much cutting in this episode. To Victor and his family, and Victor's like, how long do we have? And they're kind of... Yes, Skype is Skynet. Oh, no.
Oh, shit!
We're all fucked now. Oh. I'm terrified. I don't like it. Quit the call. Quit the call!
Nah! I'm out! But yeah, we cut back to Victor and his family, and they're like, how long do we have? And they're like, I think they said like a couple weeks or something, or like a week or something like that.
Yeah, he says like a little bit of time or whatever. And then Victor just straight up is like, we're leaving.
We're getting off this planet.
Victor straight up becomes a coward, like, immediately. Just like, well, I'm not dying, bye!
Yeah, no, you guys can fuck off. I'm gonna fly my Jupiter out of here. And so is it Jupiter a space station, or is it his personal, like, little ship?
So, the Resolute is the big space station thing that you haven't seen.
Okay.
But the Resolute carries the Jupiters, which are, like...
Oh, so it's on this planet?
No, the Resolute's in space. The Jupiter's on the planet, because the Jupiters are both lifeboats and personal craft. Basically, on the Resolute, there's hallways and stuff. And then the Jupiters are more or less like cabins that have like the families in them. And then when they got where they were going, the Jupiters would disengage from the Resolute and fly down.
Okay, so the
Jupiter,
purpose of this fuel was for the Resolute?
It was for the Jupiter to get back to the Resolute.
Okay.
Because they're all trapped on the planet, and butt eels ate all their fuel.
So why did they come to this planet to begin with?
Oh, they didn't mean to. Because in the first episode, the Resolute is attacked and goes through a wormhole or a black hole or a portal or sorcery. Who fucking knows? Anyway, it gets to this planet.
Space sorcery.
Yeah.
Sporcery.
Yeah, sorcery. And all the Jupiters, like, crash land on this planet. They don't know where they're at. Then you find out that the robot is actually the one that attacked them and caused the Resolute to crash, or the Resolute to get to malfunction and all the Jupiters to crash.
Okay.
So the vehicles we've seen are the Resolute, big space station thing, the Jupiters, which are individual HAB units, which when they got to Alpha Centauri would become their housing.
Okay.
Or temporary housing. And then the chariots are their cars.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Those are the levels of vehicles we've seen. We've also seen a spaceship. We've seen Spencer's spaceship, which is broken as well. No one knows why.
Okay. It's on the planet, or is
it's
it just
also on the planet? Yes.
Okay.
Which the video that Smith was watching of Will was him saying, "I found an alien spaceship. Look at it. It's crashed."
Got it. Okay.
But that's what that was.
So yeah.
Before we actually go into our usual ending stuff, do you have any other questions that would make this make sense?
Hold on. I did want to say, I mean, this was a note I had about episode 6. I thought it was rude that the little girl said that the entire planet sucked. Like, that was just rude for her to say, in like the entirety of a single planet sucked.
That's true. It's a little rude.
Oh yeah. What the fuck's up with these jet fuel eels?
Some life form on the planet eats fuel, or it eats methane, and the fuel that the Jupiters use is methane based.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So methane eating.
Yes.
Eels.
We call them butt eels on the thing because Penny at one point says it smells like it was in a butt.
Okay. Okay. So butt eels. Yeah, it says. Then I just put here that why is the therapist a creep? Because she's evil. Now I know.
Because she is a creep.
Because that makes total sense. Why was there a random gun in the woods? Now I know. Yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm all caught up.
You now know what's happening as much as anybody else.
Skip 5 episodes. I know the whole story.
There you go. You skip the ones where you had to watch a beach episode that didn't make any sense. Just a lot of...
Cool.
Yeah.
I might finish it. I don't know.
See, that's what I was about to ask, because now, in our usual closing things, we ask, what would you rate this episode, and how would you rate the series as a whole so far?
Okay.
So, Bucky, how would you rate episode 7 of Lost in Space?
On a scale of what?
1 to 5.
1 to 5. I would rate... Okay. Since I only see 2 episodes so far, I have
or 1 to 5 light bulbs.
1 to 5 light bulbs. Yeah. Okay. I will rate this episode 7 as 3 light bulbs.
Okay.
So far, though, episode 6 helped it a bit because I felt that 6 was better than 7.
Okay, yeah.
So I'll say so far, the 2 episodes I've seen, I'll give it a 4.
Makes sense, yeah.
Because that episode 6 broke my damn heart when he had to tell the robot to jump off the fucking cliff, and it just did it.
Yep.
It just, like, obeyed him, and I was like, my fucking heart, the loyalty is fucking killing me right now. And then this episode, it was too much of just going back and forth to all these little tiny snippets of things, and it like threw me for a loop. And then at the end, like I said before, like I found myself really confused, but at the same time, there was a lot of suspension of disbelief of me trying to figure out what the fuck was going on. But at the end of it, like I was happy that the mom and dad survives, and I actually kind of found myself smiling a little bit because it was a cute moment. But it definitely has some issues that could have been handled differently.
Yep. No, definitely. I would rate this episode... I've been giving a lot of 3s, like, because I feel like this whole series is kind of
mediocre.
just...
It was like a mediocre.
Yeah. I feel like they wrote it a little too much for standard cable.
Mm-hmm.
And which is weird because Netflix will basically let you do whatever you want. But there's like points that you're just like, okay, that's a commercial break. Why do you have a commercial break written into your Netflix show?
Right. Yeah.
There's no commercials. So I'm going to give this episode like a 3. It's better than 4 or 5. It's not as good as 6. The show is kind of just a 3. Like, during episode 4 and 5, I probably would have stopped watching. Like, it probably would have lost me.
I mean, I know you would not have stopped watching no matter how bad it was. You'd be like, I'm in this, I have to finish it no matter how much pain it brings to me.
This is true. I do
You've
have
watched some pretty terrible shit, and I've been like, "Why are you doing this to yourself?" And you were like, "Well, I started it."
I mean, that's true. I will finish things that I start, including terrible TV shows and movies. There's very few things that I've not finished. But I would definitely finish it. It's only 10 episodes. I would go through it, but if I were a person who doesn't do that to themselves and didn't just crush their own soul by watching terrible things,
Yeah.
I would have stopped on episode 4 or 5. If I got to episode 6, I'd be okay. I'm back into the episode. This I would have been like, okay, fine. Episode 6 pacing was perfect. Episode 7's was a little choppy. Like it just jumped too much, and there were too many stories going on at once. In my opinion, they could have. They could
have tightened it up. Yeah. There was a lot of like, especially because episode 6 was like an hour and like it was over an hour, and this episode was like 50 minutes, and it was like you could have like tightened it up. You could have like added a couple more things and made the scenes a little bit longer in between, and then definitely cut out that whole fucking Dr. Smith bullshit. Didn't need that at all.
Oh no!
But like you could have like allowed more time for there to be interactions between the people instead of just cutting away at like pivotal moments where it's like I didn't get enough.
And not only that, like the scene with Evan talking to Judy and then it cuts away and then it cuts back and he dies could have been one scene. Didn't need 2 scenes for that. Dr. Smith leaving the chariot or the Jupiter and then it cuts away and then it goes back to her at the car. You could have immediately cut from her at the Jupiter to the car. Nobody would have been like, but how did she get there? Like, we know how she got there. She walked. There's not a lot of options here.
With her feet.
Yes. And then you could have cut to the dad, mom, and you could have had a longer scene. Even if they had all of these individual story threads, they could have just made them tighter by giving each one a little bit more breathing room between cuts. Would have made it just that much better. There's no hard limits on Netflix shows. They could have made it go over an hour. They could have extended some stuff. It was choppy and weird and kind of a pain.
It needed some work.
It did. But you know what? I guess I wouldn't kick it out of bed for eating crackers, as it were. It's kind of just middle of the road.
What's that express? That's an expression?
That's an expression. You've never heard this expression?
I've never heard that expression before.
Chat, back me up. Is that an expression?
What was it?
I wouldn't kick it out of bed for eating crackers. Let's see what the chat says while I continue to talk.
What the fuck?
It's a real saying, I swear to God.
You say some weird shit down south, I swear to God.
That's a saying that plenty of people say. It's not just a southern thing.
Okay.
I'm sure someone else on the chat knows.
My Long Island people have never heard of your weird ass southern expressions. So.
No, you're just too busy, fist pumping and whatnots.
That's New Jersey.
Oh, you're right. That is New Jersey. I don't know where things are. I'm barely capable of getting around by myself.
That's Nick's neck of the woods.
You're right. That's the other direction. Yeah, I mean the episode. I don't have strong feelings about this one. Welcome back. I just don't have any strong feelings about it. I'm just kind of.
Yeah, no, I definitely felt more ingrained and like felt more with it with episode 6. I'm kind of glad I started with episode 6 because that one kind of pulled me in, and I was like, "This is kind of cool."
Really was the high point. Oh, by the way, I also get to say I called it because last episode I said that Dr. Smith would be putting the robot back together within 2 episodes, and she literally did it the next episode. They couldn't even give it the breathing room of 1 episode.
I'm proud of you for calling that.
I knew it. I knew it was going to happen so soon. Fucking bullshit. Let me see. Is there anything else to cover here? We basically said that
the entire episode.
Yeah, Victor's a coward. We both kind of agree. It's a 3. Just a
Dr. Smith's a creep.
Dr. Smith's the super creep. Yeah.
So gonna grow up to be a little emo boy.
Oh, he's gonna be such an emo boy because he had a robot and it died.
Gonna have black hair and put on pale makeup.
By the way, I would listen to a CD called "I Had a Robot and It Died."
I had a robot and it died.
Yeah, tell me you wouldn't listen to that as a CD if it were the early 2000s and you were still into like fueled by ramen music.
So would it be Spencer and the Robinsons? I had a robot and it died.
Yeah, it would definitely be Spencer and the Robinsons. The album would be "I Had a Robot and It Died," and the whole thing would be some sort of weird theme band where
it's a story. It's like a story album.
Yeah, it's a whole story album. And it would go on Warped Tour, and people would throw trash cans while they were playing. It'd be a whole mess.
Like beer flying everywhere. Yeah.
Tell me you wouldn't listen to that as an album.
Yeah, sure. I'd give it a shot.
Do you have anything you want to plug as we go into our outros?
We're gonna be back on this Twitch in an hour. Because we're gonna be on Talking Initiative talking about that other show we do.
That other show we do. And what is that other show we do, Bucky?
It's called Taking Initiative, right? Am I got that right?
You should know what the show
I don't know.
we do is.
You didn't cut me my check yet if I'm supposed to sponsor this, so.
Okay, first of all, I'm the one sponsoring it. This is my show. You cut me a check.
Taking Initiative. We're on that.
We're on Taking Initiative, and we will be talking about episodes 35 through 37. It's a little bit of a longer episode range.
We cut out last week because we had some issues.
Yeah, everyone got sick because last week was the week of the space plague.
Yeah, everybody got sick, and then I was like, I'm going to avoid you all, and now I'm sick, but I'm still here. I'm sacrificing.
Okay.
Because I love you guys.
It wasn't just that we were sick.
Well, you had no voice, so you didn't have
I had no voice. Josh and I both got 100-degree fever.
Yeah, Josh got a plague, so he literally
Volanda lost her voice. Like, it's just bad. I'm not on Taking Initiative, Kit. I'm actually on Just Couch for it. I don't know what Taking Initiative is.
I mean, you die so much on the show, you might as well be. You might as well not be on the show.
That's not me. That's my twin brother.
Drusifer von Tillenbottom.
Yeah, Drusifer von Tillenbottom. But yeah, we're going to be there. We're going to talk about those 3 episodes, probably answer some questions. Every Thursday, you can find me streaming Moonlighter on... I don't spend that much time dead, okay? It's like maybe 3 episodes of time total that I'm dead.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, as of current episodes.
Yeah. But yeah, also on this coming Monday, I will be on Nerd Immersion stream on the Princes of the Apocalypse game that we do on a bi-weekly basis, and I'll be playing Ozzy, the Lore Mastery Wizard over there, and he's a lot of fun to play. He's the first wizard I've ever played in my life.
Quick thing, how crazy is that show right now?
Absolutely insane.
Good.
We basically stepped away from the plot for about 10 episodes and then went back into it, solved all the shit, and then we were presented with, hey, you can continue with the plot, and we were like, no, we're gonna go walk away and not do the plot for another 10 episodes and then come back when we're level 50 and
we'll come back and yeah. Also, you're welcome, Kit. We're glad we can make your day better and talk about things. It's a talk show about our podcast that's coming up, where we talk about kind of behind the scenes stuff. It's sort of like, if we're being honest, Talks Machina or The Talking Dead. We just talk about the episodes that came out recently and answer questions.
Yeah.
Because we make a lot of terrible mistakes in our podcast. I make a lot of terrible mistakes in our podcast. I admit it. I know what I do.
You did make some poor decisions. I made some poor decisions too. We all do. It's D&D. It's life.
It's not fun unless you're doing terrible things.
That's true.
And getting yourself murdered.
Yeah. Also, what's today's date? In a couple weeks, I'm going to be at Gen Con with Josh. So if you're going to be going to that, you can come see us.
By the way, I will tell you right now, if you're at Gen Con and you find Bucky and Josh...
Preferably Josh, because I'm going to make Josh have to do this.
Yeah, only do this with Josh. Walk up to him and ask, what's the buzz? And he will give you one of these.
Hey!
Look at that.
Look at that.
I will make
a B-cult patch.
Bucky will be filming it. He will film Josh handing these to people who come up and say, what's the buzz to him. Because
I'm going to try real hard to take control of the TI Twitter and live fucking post a lot of us doing dumb shit because we're spending an 11-hour drive there.
Yeah,
probably popped up on coffee.
That's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so we should actually close this out instead of rambling.
Okay, yeah.
So I have been Drew Tillman. I will stop being Drew Tillman for an hour and come back on Talking Initiative. You know where to find me on this Twitch channel, on Taking Initiative, on Talking Initiative, all the places. Bucky.
I'm Bucky, and I'll continue to be Bucky as long as you guys need me to. And then, yeah, you can see me in an hour, and I'll be there, and you can see me be an idiot. again for the second time.
And if you want to find us, here you go. Listen to my really loud typing on my mechanical keyboard. Boop. There you go. Hey, there's Couchford. Volanda's not there. Bucky's usually there. Bucky, where are you on Twitter if you want to say it?
You can find me on Twitter at Bucky_Masters.
Undead, don't tell my secrets, please. Now everyone's gonna know I'm running around in my pajamas fighting crime.
That's not what you do at all.
You don't know what I do. Anyway, goodbye, everybody. Oh no.